The text message came at 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. Emergency family meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mom's house. Be there. No explanation, no context, just a command from my older brother Jake disguised as a request. I stare at the glowing screen, my stomach churning with familiar dread. In our family, emergency meetings are never about actual emergencies. They're about Tyler's latest crisis and how everyone else needs to rearrange their lives to accommodate it. I set the phone aside and try to return to the financial projections spread across my dining table. 3 years of building TechFlow Solutions from nothing, and we're finally on the verge of our breakthrough contract with Morrison Industries. The numbers don't lie. By Christmas, my business partner Marcus and I will be able to quit our day jobs and run the company full-time. But the text message has shattered my concentration. I know what tomorrow's meeting will bring. The same players, the same script, the same outcome. Tyler needs something, and somehow that becomes my responsibility to provide. The next evening, I pull into Mom's driveway and immediately notice Tyler's beat-up Honda Civic parked behind Jake's pristine BMW. The staging is deliberate. Successful brother's car flanking the struggling brother's vehicle, with mine about to complete the family tableau of judgment. Inside, the scene is exactly what I expected. Tyler sits in Dad's old recliner, the seat of honor reserved for the family member currently in crisis. Mom bustles around him, refilling his coffee cup and straightening cushions. Jake stands by the fireplace, arms crossed, wearing his responsible older brother expression. "Thanks for coming, Michael," Mom says, not quite meeting my eyes. "We have something important to discuss." I remain standing near the doorway, car keys still in my hand. "What's the emergency?" Tyler shifts in the recliner, and I notice the dark circles under his eyes, the stubble that suggests he hasn't shaved in days. "I got evicted," he says quietly, 3 months behind on rent. "Landlord changed the locks yesterday." The familiar weight settles in my chest. Here we go again. "Where have you been staying?" I ask, though I suspect I already know the answer. "His car, mostly," Mom interjects, her voice catching. "Michael, we can't let your brother live in his car. It's almost winter." Jake steps forward, his lawyer instincts kicking in. "We've discussed options. Mom's spare room isn't suitable for long-term housing, and Sarah and I have the twins to consider." Of course. Jake's house is off limits because of his children, but my space is apparently community property. "I was thinking," Tyler says, his voice taking on that careful tone he uses when he wants something. "Maybe I could crash at your place for a while, just until I get back on my feet. You've got that extra bedroom you're using as an office." The office, where I spend every evening after my day job, building financial models, reviewing contracts, planning the future of TechFlow Solutions. The space where Marcus and I have spent countless hours turning our dream into reality. "That's not really an extra bedroom," I say carefully. "It's my home office. I run my business from there." Mom's expression shifts, the familiar look of disappointment crossing her face. "Surely you can work at the kitchen table for a few weeks." A few weeks, the family euphemism that always stretches into months or years. Jake clears his throat. "Michael, be reasonable. It's just temporary. Family comes first, and Tyler is in a genuine crisis here." I look around the room at their expectant faces. Tyler, slumped in the recliner with defeat written across his features. Mom, wringing her hands with worry. Jake, radiating the confidence of someone who never has to make personal sacrifices for family unity. "What about your job situation?" I ask Tyler. "Last time we talked, you were working at the warehouse." His eyes dart away. "There were some cutbacks. Last hired, first fired, you know how it goes." Something in his tone doesn't ring true, but Jake jumps in before I can ask follow-up questions. The important thing is helping him get stabilized. Having a permanent address will help him find new employment. This is how it always works. Tyler's explanations become increasingly vague, while everyone else's expectations become increasingly specific. My role in this family drama is clearly defined. Provide the resources, ask no questions, accept no gratitude. "I need to think about this," I say, backing toward the door. Mom's face crumples. "Think about what? Your brother is homeless, Michael. How is that something you need to think about?" The guilt hits like a physical blow. In our family, hesitation equals selfishness. Boundaries equal cruelty. The unspoken rules are clear. Good brothers sacrifice without question. That night, I call Marcus from my home office, the space they want me to surrender. He listens without interruption as I explain the family situation. "So let me understand this," he says when I finish. "Your brother, who has never held a job for more than 6 months, wants to move into the room where we're managing a business worth potentially millions of dollars?" When he puts it like that, it sounds insane. But family logic operates differently than business logic. "They're saying it's temporary," I offer weakly. "Mike, you know I love you like a brother, but temporary doesn't exist in situations like this. My cousin lived with my aunt for a few weeks 7 years ago. She's still there." I lean back in my desk chair, surrounded by the evidence of our hard work. Contract negotiations, financial projections, marketing strategies, 3 years of nights and weekends building something meaningful. "What if I set boundaries?" I ask. Like month maximum, no access to the office, specific rules about job searching. Marcus sighs. You could try, but from what you've told me about your family, they don't respect boundaries. They see them as starting points for negotiation. After we hang up, I sit in the quiet office, looking at the vision board Marcus and I created last year. Photos of potential office spaces, screenshots of our dream client list, inspirational quotes about entrepreneurship and perseverance. By next summer, if everything goes according to plan, this spare bedroom business could afford me a down payment on my own house. The next morning brings a text from Mom. Tyler slept in the McDonald's parking lot last night. Please reconsider. Then Jake, this isn't like you, Mike. Family means something in this house. Finally, Tyler himself, I understand if you don't want me around. I've screwed up pretty much everything else. The manipulation is expertly crafted. Mom provides the guilt, Jake provides the shame, and Tyler provides the self-pity that makes refusing seem heartless. I'm still holding my phone when it rings. Tyler's name appears on the screen. Hey, his voice is small, defeated. Can we talk? Just you and me? An hour later, we sit across from each other in a diner booth, coffee cooling between us. Tyler looks worse in daylight. Thinner, more hollow-eyed, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. I know you don't owe me anything, he begins, stirring sugar into his coffee with shaking hands. I know I've been a screw-up my whole life, but I'm really trying this time, Mike. I just need one break, one chance to prove I can get it together. This conversation feels familiar because we've had variations of it dozens of times over the years. Tyler promising to change, me providing the support, everything falling apart within months. What happened at the warehouse? I asked directly. His hand still on the coffee cup. I was late a few times. Nothing major, just traffic issues, you know? But the supervisor had it out for me from day one. How many times late? I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times in 2 months. It's not like I was missing whole days. Tyler, showing up late 5 or 6 times in 2 months isn't traffic issues. That's a pattern. His defensive walls snap into place immediately. See, this is why I didn't want to get in details. You always make everything sound worse than it is. I'm trying to understand what actually happened so I can help you avoid it next time. The next time? His voice rises. You think I want to be in this situation? You think I enjoy having to beg my little brother for help? The conversation derails exactly as I knew it would. Any attempt to address the underlying patterns becomes an attack on Tyler's character. Any suggestion of accountability becomes evidence that I don't understand his struggles. We sit in uncomfortable silence until Tyler speaks again, his voice barely above a whisper. I've been thinking about just leaving Portland, maybe going down to California, starting fresh somewhere nobody knows me. The threat is subtle but clear. Help me, or lose me forever. Another family manipulation tactic I've seen deployed countless times. What about Mom? I ask. You disappearing would destroy her. Maybe it would be better for everyone. I'm just a burden on this family anyway. I want to argue with him, to tell him that isn't true, but the words stick in my throat. Because isn't that exactly what he is? A 28-year-old man who has never contributed to family gatherings, never helped with Mom's expenses, never offered support during anyone else's crises? But admitting that truth, even to myself, makes me feel like a monster. That evening, I'm trying to work on TechFlow projections when my doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Mom standing on my porch, holding a casserole dish and wearing her most determined expression. I brought dinner, she announces when I open the door, pushing past me into the kitchen. We need to talk. She moves around my kitchen like she owns it, pulling plates from cabinets, warming her famous tuna casserole in my microwave. The domesticity is deliberate, a reminder of how she's cared for me, how I owe her consideration in return. Your brother is falling apart, she says without preamble as we sit down to eat. I found him sleeping in his car in my driveway this morning. In November, Michael. It's supposed to freeze tonight. Has he applied for any jobs today? Her fork pauses halfway to her mouth. He's not in the right headspace for job hunting. He needs stability first, then he can focus on employment. Mom, he's had 3 years of stability living in that apartment, and it didn't lead to stable employment. That's different. He was struggling with depression then. What about now? Now he's struggling with homelessness. The circular logic makes my head spin. Tyler can't work because he's unstable. He can't be stable because he doesn't work. The solution is always for someone else to provide stability while expecting nothing in return. What if I paid for a motel room for a couple of weeks? I suggest. That would give him an address for job applications while keeping my office available for my business. Mom sets down her fork with a sharp clink. A motel room? You want your brother living in some seedy roadside motel when you have a perfectly good spare bedroom? It's not a spare bedroom. It's my office. It has a daybed and a dresser. It's a bedroom. That I use for my business. The business that might let me quit my day job next year. She leans back in her chair, studying me with disappointment. When did you become so selfish, Michael? This isn't how I raised you. The accusation lands like a slap. Selfish. The worst thing you can be in our family. Worse than irresponsible or unreliable or manipulative. I'm not being selfish. I'm trying to protect something I've worked 3 years to build. Your brother is more important than some hobby business. It's not a hobby. It's my future. Your future? She laughs, but there's no humor in it. Michael, you have a good job at the insurance company. Why do you need this side project anyway? The question reveals how little my family understands about my life, my dreams, my plans. To them, I'm still the kid who needs protection from disappointment, not the adult building something meaningful. After Mom leaves, I sit in my office staring at the computer screen. The Morrison Industries contract details blur as I try to focus. This room represents everything I've worked toward: independence, financial security, the freedom to pursue my passion instead of just paying bills. But Tyler's face haunts me. The hollow eyes, the defeated posture, the genuine desperation behind the manipulation. Whatever his faults, he's still my brother. Doesn't that count for something? My phone buzzes with a text from Jake. Drove by Mom's. Tyler's car is still in the driveway. It's 31 degrees outside. The guilt tastes bitter in my mouth. While I sit in my warm house debating business projections, my brother is literally freezing in a parking lot. I text back, fine, he can stay for 1 month. Strict rules apply. Jake's response is immediate. Knew you'd come through? Family first. 20 minutes later, Tyler stands in my doorway with a duffel bag and a grateful expression that looks almost genuine. Thank you, Mike. I know this isn't easy for you. I promise I won't mess this up. Famous last words in our family. But as I show him to the office, his temporary bedroom, I find myself hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. The first week goes surprisingly well. Tyler keeps the room tidy, helps with dishes, even cooks dinner twice. He spends his days at the library using their computers for job applications, or so he tells me. Every evening, he provides updates on his employment search with the enthusiasm of someone genuinely trying to change their situation. Had a great phone interview with that logistics company, he reports over dinner on Friday. Second interview scheduled for Monday. They seemed really interested in my warehouse experience. I want to believe him. The Tyler sitting across from me, talking enthusiastically about work schedules and benefits packages, bears little resemblance to the defeated man who showed up at my door 7 days ago. But warning bells sound in my head when I notice small inconsistencies. The logistics company interview he mentioned enthusiastically doesn't appear on any follow-up conversations. The promising lead at the grocery store chain disappears from his narrative without explanation. When I ask direct questions about these opportunities, Tyler changes the subject or provides vague responses that don't quite add up. Marcus notices my distraction during our Tuesday evening planning session, now relocated to my kitchen table. Everything okay? He asks as I flip through contract revisions with obvious frustration. You seem off tonight. I glance toward the office, where Tyler is presumably applying for more jobs, though I can hear video game sounds through the thin walls. Just family stuff, I say quietly. Tyler's staying here temporarily. Marcus nods slowly. How temporarily are we talking? 1 month, maybe less if he finds a job quickly. And if he doesn't, the question I've been avoiding, he will. He seems really motivated this time. Marcus doesn't argue, but his expression suggests he's not convinced. We work in relative quiet for another hour, but the intimacy of our previous planning sessions is gone. Every contract detail we discuss feels less secure, with Tyler's presence looming in the background. Week 2 brings the first cracks in Tyler's employment facade. The second interview with the logistics company gets postponed, then canceled, then rescheduled again. The grocery store position he was perfect for gets filled by an internal candidate. The restaurant job he was practically guaranteed falls through due to schedule conflicts. It's just bad luck. Tyler explains over breakfast, scrolling through his phone while eating cereal from my good bowls. The job market is brutal right now. What about that delivery driver position you mentioned? I ask. Those companies are always hiring. Oh, that? Yeah, I decided against it. Too much wear and tear on my car, gas prices and all. The excuse sounds reasonable until I remember that Tyler's car barely runs anyway. Wear and tear seems like the least of his concerns. That evening, I'm working late in the kitchen when I hear laughter from the office. Not just Tyler's laugh, but multiple voices. Video game chatter, the kind that suggests hours of online gaming rather than job searching. I knock on the doorframe. How's the job hunt going? Tyler minimizes something on the laptop screen quickly. Great, actually. Just taking a break with some friends online. Gotta decompress, The screen behind him shows a gaming interface, not an employment website. Tyler, it's 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. When are you actually looking for jobs? I spent all day on applications. This is just stress relief. Something in his tone reminds me of conversations we've had for years. The same defensive edge, the same inability to acknowledge any disconnect between his words and actions. Week 3 arrives with an uncomfortable revelation. I'm cleaning the bathroom we share when I find a pill bottle tucked behind the toilet tank. Tyler's name on the label, but the medication is Adderall, prescribed 3 months ago by a doctor I don't recognize. When I confront him that evening, Tyler's explanation comes quickly. Too quickly. Oh, that old prescription? I stopped taking it weeks ago. Made me feel weird. I must have forgotten about it. The bottle is nearly full, Tyler, and it's dated from August. His face flushes red. What are you, my parole officer? Going through my stuff now? I'm cleaning our shared bathroom and found medication behind the toilet. That's not going through your stuff. That's basic maintenance. Fine, whatever. Yeah, I take Adderall sometimes. For focus. Is that a crime? Are you selling it? The question hangs in the air between us. Tyler's eyes widen with what looks like genuine shock. Jesus, Mike, what kind of person do you think I am? But his indignation feels performed, and he doesn't actually answer the question. That night, I call Jake from my car, parked outside a 24-hour grocery store, where I'm hoping Tyler won't overhear our conversation. He's not looking for jobs, I tell my brother without preamble, and I found unprescribed medication in the bathroom. Jake sighs heavily. Mike, you knew this wasn't going to be easy. This isn't about easy. This is about him lying to me every single day. Maybe he's embarrassed, maybe he's trying and just not succeeding. Jake, I can hear him playing video games for 8 hours a day. There's no job searching happening. So what do you want to do? The question I've been dreading. I want him out of my house. 1 week before his month is up? Come on, Mike. You made a commitment. A commitment based on the understanding that he would actually try to find employment. And how do you know he's not trying? Maybe those video games are how he deals with the stress of constant rejection. I grip the steering wheel tighter, frustrated by Jake's ability to reframe every situation in Tyler's favor. What would you do if this was your house? I'd probably be more patient with my brother. Easy words from someone whose spare bedroom isn't occupied by Tyler's chaos. When I return home, Tyler is sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop open, my TechFlow files scattered across the surface. What are you doing? I ask, trying to keep my voice level. Oh, hey. He doesn't look up from the screen. Just checking something. Your computer was already open. Those are private business documents. Relax, I'm not stealing your secrets. Just curious about this company you're always working on. He scrolls through financial projections with casual interest, my 3 years of careful planning reduced to his entertainment. Tyler, close the laptop. This Morrison Industries deal looks pretty sweet. What's your cut going to be? Close. The laptop, now. Something in my tone finally gets his attention. He looks up, sees my expression, and slowly pushes the laptop toward me. Sorry, man. Didn't realize it was such a big deal. But the damage is done. He's seen our client list, our pricing structure, our growth projections, information that could be valuable to competitors or simply ammunition for future family discussions about my ability to help with Tyler's expenses. That night, I change all my passwords and call Marcus to explain the security breach. He saw everything? Marcus's voice is tight with concern. Financial projections, client contacts, pricing models, pretty much our entire strategy. Mike, this is exactly why I was concerned about this arrangement. We're 6 weeks away from the biggest contract in our company's history, and you've got your brother rifling through confidential documents. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again. How? By watching him 24/7? By locking up your own laptop in your own house? The absurdity of the situation hits me fully. I'm a grown man hiding my own business materials from a house guest who was supposed to be temporary. What do you think I should do? Marcus is quiet for a long moment. Honestly, I think you should ask him to leave, tonight. Jake will lose his mind. Mom will be heartbroken. And if Tyler sabotages our Morrison deal, what then? The thought hadn't occurred to me, but once Marcus plants it, I can't shake it. Tyler has access to information that could damage TechFlow Solutions. More importantly, he has a history of making questionable decisions when he's desperate. Week 4 arrives with Tyler making no pretense of job searching. He sleeps until noon, spends afternoons on my couch watching Netflix, and devotes evenings to online gaming with friends who seem equally unemployed. When I ask about his employment efforts, he provides increasingly creative excuses. Actually, I'm thinking about starting my own business, he announces over dinner on Thursday. Something in e-commerce, maybe dropshipping. Way better than working for someone else. The irony would be laughable if it weren't so infuriating. Tyler, who can't maintain basic employment, wants to become an entrepreneur while living rent-free in my house. What kind of dropshipping business? Still researching options. There's a lot of money in outdoor gear right now. Do you have any capital to invest? Well, that's the beauty of dropshipping. You don't need much upfront investment. His knowledge clearly comes from YouTube videos and get-rich-quick websites. I've seen this pattern before. Tyler's enthusiasm for schemes that require minimal effort and promise maximum reward. What about regular employment while you research business options? His face falls slightly. I mean, yeah, sure. But why waste time on some dead-end job when I could be building something real? The conversation feels like a funhouse mirror reflection of my own entrepreneurial journey. Except I spent 3 years building TechFlow Solutions while maintaining steady employment, not living off family members while chasing fantasies. Friday evening brings the confrontation I've been avoiding for weeks. I'm working at the kitchen table when Tyler emerges from the office, laptop under his arm. Mind if I use this for a while? He asks, already moving toward the living room. Actually, yes, I need it for work. Come on, man. I'm trying to research business opportunities. This is important stuff. Tyler, give me the laptop. 5 more minutes. I'm right in the middle of something. The casual dismissal of my request in my own house with my own property pushes me past the breaking point. No, give me the laptop now and pack your things. Tyler freezes, laptop halfway to the couch. What? You heard me. Pack your things and leave. Mike, what's wrong? Did I do something? The innocent act might have worked 3 weeks ago, but not anymore. You've been lying about job searching. You've been going through my private business documents. You've turned my office into a gaming den. The month is up, Tyler. Time to go. Tyler sets the laptop on the coffee table and turns to face me fully, his expression shifting from confusion to anger. So that's it? One bad day and you're throwing me out on the street? One bad day? Tyler, you've had maybe 3 good days in the past month. I've been trying, Mike. The job market sucks right now, and I'm doing my best. Your best involves 12 hours of video games yesterday. That's not fair. I applied to 3 jobs yesterday morning. Which 3? The specific question catches him off guard. His mouth opens and closes like he's searching for a convincing lie. I don't have to prove myself to you, he finally says. You're not my boss. You're right. I'm not your boss. I'm your landlord, and this arrangement isn't working. Tyler's face cycles through emotions: anger, hurt, desperation. When he speaks again, his voice is small and broken. Please, Mike, I don't have anywhere else to go. The manipulation is expertly deployed, designed to make me feel like a monster for enforcing basic boundaries. For a moment, looking at his defeated posture, I almost relent. But then I remember the Morrison contract, the business Marcus and I have built, the future I'm risking for someone who sees my success as his personal safety net. You can go to Mom's. Her spare room doesn't have proper heat. You can figure it out. You're a grown man. What if I promise to do better? Real job applications, no more gaming during business hours. The same promise he's made dozens of times throughout his life. The same promise that lasts exactly as long as the immediate crisis. The decision is final, Tyler. I need you out by Sunday. Saturday morning, I wake to the sound of boxes being thrown around in the office. Tyler is packing with the energy of someone making a statement, slamming dresser drawers and muttering under his breath. By noon, Jake's BMW is in my driveway. He strides through my front door without knocking, his lawyer posture in full effect. What the hell is wrong with you? He demands without preamble. Good morning to you too. Tyler called me crying. Crying, Mike. You're throwing him out with nowhere to go. He has options. Mom's house, friends, extended family. Mom's spare room is freezing and you know it. Then maybe he should have spent the last month finding a job instead of playing video games. Jake's expression softens slightly, shifting from anger to disappointment. I thought you were better than this. The accusation stings because Jake's opinion has always mattered to me. Growing up, he was the responsible one, the achiever, the son our parents held up as an example. Having his respect felt important, but not more important than my future. I gave him a month, Jake, a full month to get his act together. He chose to waste it. So you're punishing him for having mental health struggles? The reframing is masterful. Tyler's deliberate choices become mental health issues. My boundaries become punishment. The family narrative shifts to accommodate Tyler's behavior while casting me as the villain. Having depression doesn't mean you can't apply for jobs or respect other people's property. He went through your stuff? I tell Jake about the laptop incident, the medication I found, the complete absence of genuine job searching. With each detail, I watch his certainty waver. Maybe he just needs more structure, Jake suggests, but his voice lacks conviction. Maybe he needs consequences. Tyler appears in the doorway, duffel bag over his shoulder, looking appropriately pathetic. I'm ready to go, he announces, voice heavy with martyrdom. Jake looks between us, clearly hoping for a last-minute reconciliation. Mike, last chance to do the right thing here. I meet Tyler's eyes across the room. For just a moment, I see not the defeated victim he's performing, but something else. Anger, resentment. The look of someone who's been caught. I am doing the right thing, I tell Jake. After they leave, I sit in the reclaimed office, surrounded by the evidence of my interrupted dreams. TechFlow documents scattered across the desk, business plans that have been delayed by a month of family drama. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. How could you do this to your brother? Then Jake, don't expect us at Christmas if Tyler is homeless. Finally, Tyler himself. Thanks for nothing. Good to know what family means to you. The guilt hits in waves, each message designed to maximize my emotional damage. This is how our family has always operated, unified pressure against the member who refuses to accommodate dysfunction. But as I reorganize my business files and reclaim my workspace, I feel something unexpected alongside the guilt. Relief. The constant tension of monitoring Tyler's behavior, protecting my belongings, walking on eggshells in my own home, it's gone. Marcus calls that evening, his voice cautious. How did it go? He's gone. Family is furious. I feel like garbage, but the office is mine again. Any regrets? I look around the room, my vision board back on the wall, financial projections spread across the desk, the quiet space I need to build something meaningful. Ask me again in 6 months when we're running TechFlow full-time. 2 weeks later, I'm deep in Morrison Industries contract negotiations when Mom calls. Her voice is tight with controlled anger. Your brother is living in his car again. I set down my pen and prepare for the familiar emotional assault. Where is he parking? Different places. Walmart parking lots, 24-hour gyms. It's not safe, Michael. Has he applied for any jobs? He's been focused on survival, not employment. It's hard to shower and shave for interviews when you're homeless. If the logic is circular and familiar. Tyler can't work because he's unstable. He can't be stable because he's homeless. The solution, implied but not stated, is for me to provide stability while expecting nothing in return. What about that motel room I offered to pay for? That was weeks ago. The offer expired when you threw him out. I hadn't realized my offer came with an expiration date, but family rules are fluid when they need to be. Mom, I gave him a full month to find housing. He chose not to use that time productively. Chose? Her voice rises. Michael, your brother is struggling with depression and anxiety. This isn't a choice. Working during the day instead of playing video games is a choice. You don't understand mental illness. The conversation derails into familiar territory. My lack of compassion, Tyler's invisible struggles, the family's disappointment in my selfishness. I listen with practiced detachment, knowing that engagement only provides more ammunition for guilt. After hanging up, I return to the contract negotiations with renewed focus. The Morrison deal represents everything I've worked toward. Financial independence, professional fulfillment, the freedom to build something meaningful without family interference. That evening, Marcus and I celebrate a breakthrough in negotiations. Morrison Industries has agreed to our terms, with contract signing scheduled for next week. We did it, Marcus says, raising his beer and toast. 1 year from now, we'll be running TechFlow full-time. To independence, I reply, clinking bottles. But the celebration feels incomplete. In the back of my mind, Tyler sits in a cold car, probably wondering how his little brother could prioritize business success over family loyalty. The next morning brings an unexpected visitor. I open my door to find Tyler on the porch, cleaned up and wearing clothes I haven't seen before. His usual defeated posture is replaced by something that might be determination. Before you slam the door, he says quickly, I have something to tell you. I step outside, closing the door behind me. Whatever Tyler wants to say, it's not happening in my house. I got a job, he announces. Night shift at UPS. Starts Monday. The news should feel like vindication, but Tyler's timing makes it suspect. Where are you staying? Found a room to rent. Month to month. Nothing fancy, but it's warm and legal. Where? This guy Marcus knows, actually. He mentioned you might be looking for temporary housing for someone. My stomach drops. Marcus knows dozens of people in our professional network. The idea that he's helping Tyler behind my back feels like betrayal. Marcus connected you with housing? Not exactly. We ran into each other at the coffee shop on Morrison Street. He recognized me from family photos or something. We got to talking, and he mentioned knowing someone with a spare room. The story feels too convenient, too perfectly timed with our contract success. So you've been job hunting after all? Tyler shifts uncomfortably. Yeah, well, living in a car is pretty motivating. Why didn't you mention this during our conversations with Mom and Jake? Because I wanted to actually have the job before announcing anything. Too many false starts, you know? The explanation makes logical sense, but something feels off. Tyler's sudden employment success, coinciding exactly with my business breakthrough, strikes me as suspiciously convenient. That's great news, I say carefully. I hope it works out. Look, Mike, I know I screwed up staying here. I got comfortable and lazy, and that wasn't fair to you. The acknowledgement surprises me. Tyler rarely admits fault without extensive family pressure. I appreciate you saying that. The thing is, I was hoping we could start over. Maybe have dinner sometime, try to rebuild things between us. Part of me wants to believe in this version of Tyler, employed, accountable, interested in repairing our relationship. But I've seen too many false redemptions to trust easily. Let's see how the job goes first, I suggest. Tyler's face falls slightly, but he nods. Fair enough. Just thanks for pushing me. I needed to hit bottom before I could bounce back. After he leaves, I call Marcus immediately. Did you help Tyler find housing? I ask without preamble. What? No. Why would you think that? He said you two talked at the coffee shop, and you connected him with someone who had a spare room. Marcus is quiet for a moment. Mike, I've never seen your brother in person. I wouldn't recognize him if I tripped over him. The lie is so casual, so unnecessary, that it takes my breath away. Tyler has been lying about everything. The job, the housing, probably even the conversation with Marcus. But why? What does he gain from this elaborate fiction? That evening, I drive past the UPS facility Tyler claimed would be his new workplace. The night shift is in full swing, trucks loading and unloading under bright security lights. I park across the street and wait, feeling ridiculous, but needing to know the truth. 2 hours pass. No Tyler. I checked the parking lot for his Honda Civic. Nothing. Either he's working somewhere else entirely, or the job story is another fabrication in an increasingly complex web of lies. My phone rings as I'm driving home. Mom's name appears on the screen. Michael, I owe you an apology, she says without preamble. Her voice sounds tired, older somehow. For what? I talked to Mrs. Henderson today. You remember her? She works at the unemployment office? She mentioned seeing Tyler there regularly over the past month. My grip tightens on the steering wheel. Seeing him how? He's been filing unemployment claims, telling them he was laid off from the warehouse back in September. The pieces fall into place with sickening clarity. Tyler wasn't just avoiding job searches. He was actively scamming the system, collecting benefits while living rent-free in my house. Mom, he told us he was fired for being late. I know, Mrs. Henderson said he filed paperwork claiming the layoff was due to company downsizing. She only mentioned it because she was surprised to hear he was staying with you, since his unemployment address listed Mom's house. My head spins trying to follow the layers of deception. Tyler has been collecting unemployment benefits while claiming to live at Mom's house, actually living at my house, and telling different stories to different family members about his employment situation. There's more, Mom continues, her voice getting smaller. Jake and I went to clean out Tyler's old apartment yesterday. The landlord let us in to get his things. And? Michael, there was no eviction notice. The lease expired at the end of October, and Tyler just left. Didn't renew, didn't get kicked out, just packed up and moved out voluntarily. The final piece of Tyler's con game slots into place. No emergency eviction, no desperate homelessness, no family crisis requiring immediate intervention. Just Tyler deciding he'd rather live rent-free with relatives than pay his own way. How long have you known this? I ask. Since this morning. Jake is furious. He's been sending Tyler money for emergency expenses all month. Of course he has. Tyler played us all. But Jake's guilt over not offering housing made him an easy mark for additional financial support. Where is Tyler now? We don't know. Jake tried calling him this afternoon, but his phone goes straight to voicemail. I think about Tyler's confident appearance on my doorstep this morning, his story about new employment and housing. All lies, but delivered with the practiced smoothness of someone who's made lying an art form. Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Of course. How long has Tyler been like this? The lying, the manipulation, the elaborate stories that don't add up? Her silence stretches so long, I wonder if the call dropped. Since high school, she finally whispers. Maybe earlier. Your father and I always told ourselves he was just immature, that he'd grow out of it. But he never did. No, he just got better at it. We sit in uncomfortable silence, both processing the weight of years of enabling behavior disguised as family support. Michael, I'm sorry we pressured you. You were right to set boundaries. The apology lands like a physical blow. I've spent weeks feeling like a selfish monster for protecting my business and my sanity. Learning that my instincts were correct should feel vindicating, but instead it just feels hollow. What happens now? I ask. I don't know. Jake wants to cut Tyler off completely, but I'm not ready for that. Mom, what if cutting him off is the kindest thing you can do? How can abandoning your child ever be kind? The question haunts me long after we hang up. Is there a point where family loyalty becomes family enabling? When does helping become hurting? The next week passes quietly. I throw myself into TechFlow work, finalizing the Morrison contract details with a focus I haven't felt in months. Without Tyler's chaos disrupting my home office, productivity returns in waves. Marcus and I celebrate the contract signing at our favorite restaurant, toasting 3 years of hard work finally paying off. To TechFlow Solutions, Marcus says, raising his glass, and to partners who have each other's backs. Even when family gets complicated, I add. Especially then. As we discuss our transition timeline from part-time to full-time entrepreneurs, I feel the future opening up in ways that seemed impossible just weeks ago. The Morrison contract provides enough income to quit my insurance job by Christmas, rent proper office space by February, maybe even hire our first employee by summer. But the celebration is interrupted by my phone buzzing with an unknown number. Mike? It's Tyler. His voice sounds different, smaller, more desperate than I've ever heard it. Where are you calling from? Listen, I need to explain some things. Can we meet somewhere? Every instinct tells me to hang up. But curiosity wins out. Where? That diner on Powell Boulevard, the one we went to a few weeks ago. An hour later, I sit across from Tyler in the same booth where he first told me about his eviction. He looks terrible, thinner, unshaven, wearing clothes that smell like he's been sleeping in them. Before you say anything, he begins, hands shaking as he reaches for his coffee cup. I know you talked to Mom. I know you know about the unemployment thing. And the fake eviction? And the fake job at UPS? His face crumples. Yeah, all of it. Why, Tyler? What was the point of all these lies? Because the truth was too embarrassing. Which truth? That I'm a 28-year-old loser who can't keep a job, can't maintain an apartment, can't function like a normal adult. The raw honesty is jarring after weeks of elaborate deceptions. So instead of working to change that, you decided to scam your family? I didn't plan it. It just happened. One lie led to another, and before I knew it, I was in too deep to back out. Tyler, you collected unemployment benefits while living rent-free in my house. That's not accidental. That's fraud. I know. His voice is barely above a whisper. I know, and I'm going to fix it. How? I really did get a job. Not at UPS, but at a 24-hour gas station. Night shift, minimum wage, but it's real work. I study his face, looking for signs of another elaborate fiction. When do you start? I already started. 3 days ago. That's why I look like hell. I'm still adjusting to the sleep schedule. Where are you living? My car, mostly. Sometimes the employee break room at the gas station when the manager isn't around. The image of Tyler sleeping in a convenience store break room should evoke sympathy, but I feel oddly numb to his suffering. What do you want from me? Nothing, he says quickly. I'm not asking for money or housing or anything else. I just wanted you to know that I understand why you kicked me out. I needed consequences, and you were the only one willing to give them to me. This version of Tyler, accountable, reflective, not asking for anything, feels more authentic than any conversation we've had in years. What about the unemployment fraud? I'm going to report it myself. Pay back what I collected illegally. It'll probably mean criminal charges, but it's the right thing to do. Tyler, that could mean jail time. I know, but I can't build a real life on a foundation of lies. We sit in silence for several minutes, both processing the weight of his decision. What changed? I ask finally. Living in my car for 2 weeks, having to panhandle for gas money, realizing that all my elaborate schemes were just ways to avoid growing up. He pulls a folded paper from his pocket and slides it across the table. This is my work schedule for the next month. I wanted you to have it. I unfold the paper to find a handwritten schedule showing night shifts at Powell Gas & Go, 6 days a week. The schedule is signed by a manager and includes Tyler's employee ID number. Why are you showing me this? Because for the first time in my life, I want someone to be able to verify that I'm telling the truth. The gesture moves me more than any of Tyler's previous grand promises or emotional manipulations. Simple accountability offered without being demanded. What about Mom and Jake? I'll talk to them when I'm ready. Right now, I need to focus on not screwing up this job. As Tyler stands to leave, I find myself wanting to offer help. Money for a motel room, use of my shower, a warm meal. But something holds me back. Tyler? He turns back, hope flickering across his face. I'm proud of you for taking responsibility. The hope shifts to something deeper. Gratitude, mixed with determination. Thanks, Mike. That means more than you know. 3 weeks later, I'm working late in my office when the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Tyler on my porch, but he looks different. Clean clothes, recently showered, standing straight instead of hunched in defeat. Sorry to bother you, he says when I open the door. I wanted to update you on some things. I step outside, still not ready to invite him into my house. How's the job going? Good. Really good, actually. Manager promoted me to assistant shift supervisor last week. It's not much more money, but it's responsibility, you know? And housing. Found a studio apartment. Nothing fancy, but it's legal and warm. First month's rent came from my gas station paychecks. The pride in his voice is unmistakable. This is what genuine accomplishment sounds like. So different from his previous boasts about schemes and shortcuts. What about the unemployment situation? Reported it to the state fraud division yesterday. They're investigating, but I already paid back everything I collected illegally. Took my entire first paycheck and then some, but it's done. Tyler, that's really good. There's something else. He pulls an envelope from his jacket pocket. I wanted to give you this. Inside is a money order for $400 made out to me. What's this for? Utilities and food, for the month I stayed with you. It's not enough to cover everything, but it's what I can afford right now. The gesture catches me completely off guard. Tyler has never paid anyone back for anything, let alone without being asked. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. I took advantage of your generosity, and that needs to be made right. I study his face, looking for signs of manipulation or ulterior motives. But Tyler's expression is straightforward, almost businesslike. Are you in some kind of program? AA or therapy or something? No program, just tired of being a disappointment. We stand in comfortable silence for a moment, something that's never happened between us before. Mom and Jake know about all this? Not yet. I want to have 6 months of stable employment before I try to rebuild those relationships. Prove that this change is real, not just another temporary improvement. The maturity of that decision surprises me more than anything else he's shared. Tyler, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know that your boundaries worked. Kicking me out was the best thing anyone's ever done for me. After he leaves, I sit in my office staring at the money order. $400 doesn't begin to cover the actual cost of Tyler's month-long stay, but it represents something more valuable than money. Accountability, respect, the first genuine gesture of reciprocity in our adult relationship. 6 months later, TechFlow Solutions operates out of a real office space downtown. Marcus and I have hired 2 employees and landed 3 major contracts beyond Morrison Industries. The dream we built in my spare bedroom has become a thriving business. But more importantly, my family dinners have changed completely. Tyler shows up to Sunday gatherings in his gas station uniform sometimes, heading to or from work shifts. He brings small gifts, flowers for Mom, craft beer for Jake, homemade cookies from his neighbor for the twins. Nothing expensive, but thoughtful gestures that show he's thinking about others instead of just himself. He talks differently too. Instead of grand schemes and elaborate explanations, Tyler shares simple updates about work responsibilities, apartment improvements, community college classes he's taking online. His stories are smaller, but infinitely more believable. The family dynamic has shifted dramatically. Mom no longer treats Tyler like a fragile victim who needs constant protection. Jake has stopped offering unsolicited financial advice disguised as help. Even the twins, Jake's 8-year-old daughters, treat Tyler like a regular uncle instead of the mysterious relative who's always in crisis. At Thanksgiving dinner, Tyler pulls me aside after dessert. "I wanted to thank you again," he says quietly, "for having the guts to kick me out when everyone else was enabling me. How do you feel about it now?" "Grateful. Terrified at the time, but grateful now." He glances around Mom's dining room, where our family is cleaning up dishes and planning Christmas celebrations. "I almost destroyed this. The lies, the manipulation, the constant drama. I was poison to this family. You weren't poison. You were lost." Same thing sometimes. We watch Jake help the twins with homework at the kitchen table while Mom and Dorothy plan next weekend's shopping trip. Normal family activities that used to be impossible when Tyler's latest crisis dominated every gathering. "Do you ever miss it?" I ask. "Being the center of attention?" Tyler considers the question seriously. "Sometimes. Being the family disaster was awful, but it was also important. You know? Everyone worried about me, talked about me, organized their lives around my problems. And now? Now I'm just Tyler. Regular guy with a regular job and regular problems. It's quieter, but it's better." Christmas morning finds me in my downtown loft, enjoying coffee and reviewing TechFlow's year-end financial reports. We've exceeded every projection Marcus and I made in those late-night planning sessions. My phone buzzes with a text from Tyler. "Merry Christmas. Working today holiday pay. But wanted to say thanks for the best gift anyone's ever given me." "Which gift?" I text back. "Consequences." I smile, remembering the terrified, angry man who left my house 8 months ago. The transformation isn't just Tyler's. It's mine too. Learning to set boundaries without guilt, to help without enabling, to love family members without sacrificing my own well-being. Marcus arrives that afternoon with Chinese takeout and champagne, our tradition for holidays when we're both working. "To TechFlow Solutions," he toasts, "and to partners who protect what matters. To families that finally function," I add. As we review next year's expansion plans, I think about the Reddit post I almost wrote during Tyler's month-long stay. "AITA, for kicking my homeless brother out of my house?" The comments would have been divided, I'm sure. Half calling me heartless, half supporting my boundaries. But the real story isn't about being right or wrong. It's about learning that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is refuse to rescue them from their own choices. Tyler had to hit bottom before he could build something solid. Mom and Jake had to see the consequences of their enabling before they could change their approach. And I had to risk being the family villain to protect the future I'd worked so hard to create. The hardest lesson wasn't about Tyler's addiction to crisis and drama. It was about my own addiction to being needed, being the solution, being the good son who never caused problems. Setting boundaries saved my business, but more importantly, it saved my family. Not from Tyler's problems, but from the dysfunction that made his problems everyone else's emergency. My phone lights up with photos from Mom's house, Tyler in his work uniform, grinning as he helps the twins build a gingerbread house. Jake and his wife cooking dinner together without the shadow of Tyler's latest crisis hanging over them. Mom relaxed and happy in a way I haven't seen in years. Normal family moments made possible by refusing to accept abnormal family dynamics. Later that evening, I find myself back in the office space that started as Tyler's temporary bedroom. My vision board still hangs on the wall, but now it's covered with achievements rather than dreams. Photos of our new office, screenshots of client testimonials, magazine articles about successful young entrepreneurs. But the picture I look at longest isn't related to business success. It's a photo Dorothy took at Thanksgiving. Our whole family around Mom's table, everyone present and accounted for, no one in crisis, no one being managed or rescued or enabled. Just a family being a family. The Reddit post I never wrote would have asked strangers to judge whether I was the asshole for prioritizing my business over my brother's housing crisis. But the real question was never about business versus family. It was about learning the difference between helping and enabling, between love and codependency, between protecting someone from consequences and protecting them from growth. Tyler's transformation required him to face the reality of his choices without family members rushing in to cushion the impact. My transformation required me to face the reality of my own enabling without the comfortable narrative that I was just being a good brother. The hardest part wasn't setting boundaries. It was maintaining them when everyone I loved was telling me I was wrong. But sometimes being wrong in the moment is the only way to be right in the long run. I close my laptop and prepare to leave the office, satisfied with the day's work and the year's progress. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to build something meaningful. And for the first time in my adult life, I know that my family's problems won't derail my personal progress. Not because I don't love them, but because I finally understand that love without boundaries isn't love at all. It's just another form of enabling. Update: 6 months later. Tyler graduated from community college last month with a certificate in business administration. He's been promoted to night manager at the gas station and is saving money for a down payment on a small house. TechFlow Solutions landed our biggest contract yet, a 3-year deal with a Fortune 500 company that will triple our revenue. Mom started seeing a therapist to work through her own patterns of enabling behavior. She says it's helping her understand the difference between supporting her children and rescuing them. Jake apologized for pressuring me to accommodate Tyler's dysfunction. He's also working with a counselor to address his own need to be the responsible brother who fixes everyone else's problems. Our family dinners are smaller now, just the people who want to be there, not the people who feel obligated to manage someone else's crisis. They're also happier, more genuine, more sustainable. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never found the courage to say no. Tyler would probably still be cycling through temporary solutions and elaborate excuses. Our family would still be organized around crisis management instead of genuine connection. And TechFlow Solutions might still be just a dream deferred by family obligations that weren't really obligations at all. The most surprising discovery in all of this? Tyler is actually more interesting when he's not in constant crisis. The stable, employed, accountable version of my brother has a sense of humor I never knew existed, insights about life that go beyond manipulation tactics, and genuine concern for other people's well-being. It turns out that beneath all the drama and dysfunction was a person worth knowing. But that person could only emerge when the rest of us stopped enabling the drama and dysfunction. Setting boundaries didn't destroy my family. It revealed the family that was always possible, underneath all the chaos.